All right. So we just start with a quick recap of what we were able to do in the last session. Let me start by sharing my screen. All right. Kindly confirm you're able to see my screen. Okay, perfect. All right, so I'll be opening my project here. So this is basically the project that we were working on. So all you need, if at all you haven't worked on any other project, all you need is to just open your Visual Studio Code. It should open the last project that you are working with. All right, so once you do that, we need to start our server. And the good thing is that Visual Studio Code has already activated our virtual environment. So in case it's not activated, remember the commands that we use to activate the virtual environment, depending on whether you are on Windows or on Linux or Mac. All right, so in case you don't remember, please let us know so that we can mention that. All right, so I will be starting my server. So that's enough to start your server. In my case, I'll be starting it on port 8001. All right. Okay. So this is what we want. So in the last session we were able to look at how the URLs work, how the views work, and we were able to do some practices on that. And we left at where we were able to, instead of returning a HTTP response, we were now able to display a template. And remember what we are looking at. We are looking at having a page like this. So there are quite a number of things that we will be working on, and especially the static files. All right. So we'll be starting with kind of activating the static files so that at least our website can take some shape. And the way to do that, we need to navigate to, all right, let me just close all this. Right. All right, so the first page that we are seeing here is the index.html. So there is a template that we need to first activate the static files. We see how it works, then we move to another one and see how we are going to simplify that process. So to begin with, the first thing we need to appreciate is that we are aware that all the static files are under this folder named static. So we have the CSS, the images, and all the other files. So the first thing that you need to do, just move to the first line, and the first thing that you need to do is to load static. So there's a tag that we use to kind of inform our templates that we now want to consume the static files that we have for this template. So this is a constant line. At no one time will you find yourself calling it any other thing. So once you do that, we have kind of loaded the static files to the global environment of this template. All right, so does this make our website static files work? Let us see. So of course not, we haven't achieved the goal yet. So after loading static, that is after adding this tag, the next thing we need to allocate are the lines with static files. So there are those lines that have included the CSS, the JavaScript, and the images to our template. So we will be looking at first the lines that inject CSS files to our template, and we are going to look at those that are fetching from the local directory. So if we look at, for instance, let me see this. All right, so there is a style sheet, but if we check, it's fetching from an online repository, so we don't need to interfere with that. Let us check on this. Also check, it's also fetching from an online repository, and the way to just know that, if it starts with HTTP, HTTPS, then just leave that one alone. All right, then we check on this. So by just checking, this doesn't have the HTTPS, so this tells us that it's fetching from the local directory. So if we can just check under static, let me see, there is this folder named rib, probably a short form of library. Then we have this one here. We're able to locate it here. Then we move to assets, and we have this particular CSS here. All right, so anyway, there's no point of just trying to locate it. As long as the initial template was working, then we are sure that this file exists with the styling. So all we need to do is we need to select that path. All right, once we select that, we need to cut that, and we need now to utilize this static that we have loaded here. So we are just going to call static. All right, then we have this option here, select that, and of course it will fill in some few code. So I would advise we have these quotations, delete that and probably use single quotations, then paste in the line that we had cut. All right, and if by the time you started typing in, let me just type it outside here, static, you do not get this suggestion here, then we need to install an extension that will help us in auto-completing Django commands. So all we need to do, I think the other time we installed Python extension, so for this time we need to do that for Django. Right, I'm not sure if we did install Django extensions as we were starting the Django training, but if we didn't, so just come here, search for Django. So this is the location where you get the extensions. Once you do that, type in Django, then you can check one probably with the highest number of installations. So I think I used this. How many does it have? It has 11 million. So the other one, I can see we have another one here with around 481 and all that. So you can install this particular one. Mostly the others may have similar features, but for now I'm just going to work with this. So you can also install one that has around 11 million installations. Then in case you have time, you can just try to check through the features that this extension offers. But basically what we are looking at is having an extension that is able to give us such auto completions, and also underlining or giving us a warning whenever probably we type a command that is whose syntax is wrong. All right, so this is what you do to all the static files that are being fetched locally. So let's do the same to this particular one. As you can see, this one has been fetched locally, or it should be fetched locally. So the way to do that, just need to select everything there, then key in static, select that auto completion. And by the way, we are just using the auto completion so that at least we just get this string added here. Otherwise you can type it one by one. All right, then in here it's just a recommendation: remove the double quotations, use the single ones, then paste in the path. So let's save this and see if it's gonna change our page. All right, so things are not yet working. So there's something that we need to do. The fact that we see the few styling that the few styles that we have added have not yet given our have not yet added any styling to our page. So sometimes it could be an issue with cache, so we try to hard reload that, but still we do not get what we want. All right, so there are some settings that we need to adjust in our settings.py file. Remember, there is this file that we said stores the global configuration of our project, and down here we have definition of the static files. All right, so we will be defining some few or rather we will be including some few lines here that will instruct our file or our template where they should be checking for the static files. All right, so the thing we need to do that we need to have static files. We need to add this dirs, because all right, then in here remember we have the base directory, the one that is defined up here. Remember we talked about it the other session. Once we mention that, then we have a forward slash, then we include the location where or rather the folder that houses our static files. Remember we named it static. All right, then after mentioning that, we also need to mention static root is the way to do it. Once we do that, let us just have base directory, a forward slash, then we can mention assets. All right, so this may not be used when working on the local project. It will be probably used in a hosting environment, not the local one. All right, so once we have that, so that we don't forget, we also need to add another one. This will take care of the media files once we start uploading, say, images to our blog website, and basically those media files that we upload to our project. So they are not it's not a line that is part of making the static files to work, but because they work hand in hand, let us just include it now. So in future, if you probably work with a project whereby you upload images through either the admin, or you have created a form where a user is going to submit images and they don't work, just ensure that you have this line in place, and probably some other lines will be adding later. All right, so once we do that, let me save that, then come back here, reload, and we see that at least our website is taking some shape. All right, okay, so we basically need to see if I think the CSS is already working. So the next thing we'll be working on images and the JavaScript files. All right, so let's come back here. So the next phrase that we move, let's search for images, img. All right, so this is one of the images, and we see that we have around 86. So let us see how to work on the images, then try to automate that process. All right, so the same thing will happen to the image. So the path referring to a local image, so just select that, cut it, then have static, then there is this option here, then just a recommendation, you can use the double quotes, but I prefer if the outside quotes are double, I prefer using the inner quotes as single quotations rather. All right, so we are done with that. Let us also do the same to this one. So just select everything, cut that, then add the static tag, then just do that, then paste in the path there. So let's save this and see if we have achieved anything else. All right, and we are able to see that image. If we probably scroll there, we are able to see this image, but the third one is not working yet because we haven't been able to put it in a way that our template is able to understand. All right, Up to that point, is there anyone with a question? Any question up to that point? Yes, Mohammed? Oh, settings. Okay, let me just paste this code. I'm hoping this is what you want to get, huh? Is it? Okay. All right, so let me just share it there as well. All right, is that okay? So basically, this is all we needed to add in the settings.py file. Then for the image, this is what you have. So we said, let us just practice with another one so that at least it can sync. So we said in the image, there is this attribute of source. So all you need to identify is if the image is being fetched locally, just select the path, cut it. So inside the quotations, type in static. Then if you have auto completion, let's go with that. Then here we said just a recommendation. You can use the single quotations, then paste in the path there. Then save. So basically, it's the same path. It's only that we are using this tag, because if you check on the location of this image, it's we find it in static, then image, img, then we have this image here, or this one, the third one. So it's basically the same path, but to consume it in the Django template engine, that's how to do it. All right, Mohammed, were you able to capture that? Okay, perfect. All right, any other question? All right, okay, let's move on. So we saw that we have quite a number of images, and I'll be showing you how to just it's just an automation that will help us work on all the images. All right, it's not really an automation, but it's a quick way of having all the images work as expected. All right, so we have this image that we haven't worked on. I think somebody has their mic on. I think Mohammed, would you please? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so we haven't worked on this image yet, but we have already worked on this particular image here. So the best or the quickest way to have all the images work, because if you can see here, we have quite a number of images. One, we have the third one here in the slider. Then we also have this one and all these other images down here. So we will be this is how to do it, and especially on VS Code. I'm not sure about the other code editors. So I'll come here, and I believe all the images are ending with .jpg and the closing quotation. So I'll copy that part and try to find all the images that ends with that. All right. So after I work on the images, they'll no longer be ending with .jpg and this. They will be ending with what we have here, .jpg. We have .jpg, the single quotes, the percent, the closing curly bracket, and now the closing quotations. So I'll be replacing every other .jpg with this, and it will replace 26 occurrences. All right. So let's do that. All right, so I believe all the .jpgs have been replaced. So the other section is this initial section. So one, we are sure that every other image starts with src equals image and a /. All right, so let's copy that, paste it here. All right, so we are going to check on an image that we have already worked on. So after we work on an image, it will no longer be starting like this. It will be starting with src up to that point. All right, so let's paste that, and it will still do the update on 26 occurrences. So there is this, by the there is a replace on one of the occurrence or all the occurrences here. So we are supposed to click on this so that we can update all the images. And if we just check down here, we see that our images have taken some good shape. Look at this. So all we need is to save that, then come back here and reload. So we expect to have more images working as expected. See them? All right. So I hope that was clear, but either way, if you don't have as many images, you can just do it manually as we did it with the first image. All right. All right, so the other section is the JavaScript. For now, we may not be able to appreciate the JavaScript functionality, but I think we should have a button here that is supposed to take us to the top. Somebody with a question? Yes, Mike? Okay, that is where we have replaced all the images. Okay, all right, I think we can redo that. It's not a big deal, because sometimes you may have a page with 100 images. So if you are to do that one by one, you might spend the whole day there. Okay, all right, so I wanted to redo, so that, or rather to go back. So this is how all the images looks like, right? Or rather the source to the image, the path. Are we together up to that point? All right, then once we work on them, this is how they should look like. All right, so now that we assume that all the images, before we work on them, they will be ending with .jpg and the closing quotations. We suppose that most of the images are ending with that. If at all they are png, then you can just confirm. So the same logic will apply. So we identify the common heading strings of the image path, and this is it. So all we need to do is to copy .jpg and the closing quotations. Then we search that, and we see we have 27 occurrences. Not sure if that's true, but it's okay. Then once we work on them, we expect that they will be ending like this, .jpg. So all we need is to click on this drop down here, then replace it with how we want them to end after the update. Mike, are we together up to this point? All right, so we have this button here that is supposed to replace all occurrences of .jpg and the closing quotation. So it will replace everything, every string that appears like this with what we have here. So just click on this button here, and it replaces all the occurrences. So once you do that, we see that maybe such an image here, it has been closed as we expect, but we have this opening part. All right, so all we need is to copy the uniform string of our images. So I believe I can just start with src equals and all that up to this part. All right, so once I copy that, I paste it here. I need to search that. So after the update, we expect that our images source will look like this. All right. So we copy up to that point, then we replace it here. All right. So once you do that, there is this button to replace all. Just click on that, and it will do that magic to all lines that were following the same path. Like they were ending with .jpg with the double quotations crossing, and they also had a source equals the opening quotations and image and a forward slash. So if at all an image was not in this image folder, then that will not apply to that particular image. But the good thing, after you update most of them, then you can identify the next batch of the images that follows a different pattern. You got it right, Mike? Okay, all right. Thank you for that confirmation. All right, so back to this page. So the other batch of the static files are the JavaScript files. So far we have been able to work with the CSS, the images, and now we need to do something to the JavaScript. So I had mentioned that we are not able to tell if JavaScript is working as expected. But if we check on this particular website, we see that we are supposed to have some buttons there. That is in the bottom right. So we are supposed to have a button that if we just scroll to the bottom and we want to go back, we just click on that button to take us up there. So that's the work of JavaScript. You see that behavior. So at least that one will tell us if our JavaScript is working. Unlike the images and the CSS, at least we were just able to tell that they worked as we expected. All right, so let's navigate back to our JavaScript files. So usually you'll find the static files in the header section. There is this header section. Mostly this is where you find the static or rather the links to the CSS files. So for the JavaScript, most of them you find it at the bottom. That is, after you are done with all the codes for your front end, then down there, that's where you find the JavaScript files. So on some rare circumstance, you may still find this JavaScript code under the header section. So don't think it's wrong if for some reason you find the JavaScript scripts up there. All right, so here the same thing applies. We are going to identify the JavaScript that are being fetched locally, and we say the easiest way to identify that if you just find HTTPS, then automatically that is being fetched from an online repository somewhere. So we don't need to do anything to that as well. So we need to work on this script. This is being fetched from our local server. So all we need to do is that we need to select this. So it's basically the same thing. So just select the path, cut it, then have the static there, the static tag. Then in this case, let's remove the double, have the single ones, and pass in the path there. So the same thing applies to all the other JavaScript files. So we said just mention static, have that, and remove that, then use that, rather paste that path. We are also going to do that with this one. All right, the same to this one. And finally we have this last one here. All right, so let's reload and see if our website is gonna get that feature. All right, and we see by just reloading we have been able to get that, and if we click on it, then we are able to go to the top. All right, for some reason some of these static files may not work, so you at least need to have the knowledge of how to try and troubleshoot. So the immediate thing to try and check if at all the CSS, the JavaScript, and the image files are working, there is this feature called inspect on your browser. That is not a Django thing. It's basically for any web application. So just inspect, and I think there is also a shortcut. Usually I think, I'm not sure, F12 in HP. I'm not sure about the other machines. So there is this console, and here, if at all a particular image is not working, you can't be able to tell. So let me just reload, see if there is anything. Alright, so nothing is happening, but we can mess up with one. Let me just mess up with one static file, and that should be, let me mess up with this main.js. Alright, added some few s's there, then reload here, and we see that it's returning an error 404 on that particular file. So that tells you that this file is not found in the path that is specified. So all you need is to confirm, one, that everything is correct here. Just confirm that everything is correct, the path, the spelling, and all that. Once you confirm, ensure that the file is located in the path that has been declared here. All right, and if that's if you confirm that that is working, then you also need to confirm that these are in place. All right, today we're gonna mess up with some things. So let me save that. Everything is working. Let me just come here and mess up with these lines again. Let's see how it behaves. So basically we are causing this mess so that you can be aware of such errors should they happen in future. Let me try to hard refresh. All right, okay, they are still working. Not sure why. We don't expect them to be working, because if we mess up on those settings, then that means that okay, we're actually already getting errors here. So whatever we are getting might be a website loaded on cache. All right, let me try fetching it here. So basically our server has broken because we have commented out these lines. So let me enable that. Basically this one was here by default. The first, the line 107, it was here even before we added the rest. So let me save that. All right, let me reload this. Right, let me use this incognito tab. All right, we are seeing that static files no longer loading. Then come to the console, and you'll be able to see that all the images, all the CSS files, and the JavaScript, our server is not able to locate them. So we mentioned about these three locations that you're supposed to check. One, confirm that the path is correct, the path that loads those static files. If you confirm that everything is correct here, then confirm that, for instance, this main.js exists in the location you have declared here. Once you do, then the final thing that you need to check are these lines that we had added here. All right. All right. I think that is for your information. Just need to note that. You may not need to do that now, but you may get some errors related to static files not working. And I will be showing you another location that you'll be adding some lines of code, because should you take this application in production as it is, there are high chances that the static files will not work. So we have somewhere else we'll be adding some lines of code. For now, let us just hold it at that point. All right, so we already now have our index.html working, and I think we are happy about that. So maybe it's not entirely working because probably we are fetching this for, or rather this is static content. We also have these as static content. We will be making this content dynamic, but we still have some more concepts to cover before we get there. All right, so that is just for the index.html, but remember we have quite a number of pages. All right, have quite a number of pages. Let me just close this. We have go to, let me see, the views.py. All right, we have about. So let me just have /about. We had /about us. and we see it's in the same state. All right, so we are expected to do what we have done to the index.html. We do the same thing to all the templates that we will be working with. And again, if you just look at the architecture of these templates, for instance, the index. Let me just check on the CSS files that I loaded. I just loaded that and that, these two. So let me go to courses, and I have the same file loaded here, the same file loaded here. Let me go to blog page. I also have the same file loaded here and the same file loaded here. So the thing is, if you were to do what? If you were to change the name of these, say, style.css, so you'll be required to update each and every template, because this is the same line that appears on all these templates. Maybe that's not an ideal situation, because you may not have a reason to change the name given to this, but the point is, there is a principle in coding, and it doesn't have to be web development. It cuts across all applications. There is a principle we call the dry principle, simply meaning do not repeat yourself. So if at all these two lines of code and many others appears on all the files, then it will work. It will work even if you were to do that, to do the same thing to sorry, to about us and blog and contact and basically all the templates. It will work as expected. But we are looking at a scenario whereby you probably need to change something, but then instead of just changing it in one file, you'll be required to change on all these templates. So there is something that I want to introduce, because okay, let us just do the same thing we did to index. Now we do it on about us, so that at least we can see there is so much repetition. So for the CSS, this particular one, let's come do the same thing we did. All right, CSS, this particular one, I just select that, have that. Then for the images as well, basically the good thing with the images are only unique to about us. I believe the images available in the about us page are only unique to that page. But for the CSS, all the CSS that we have loaded on index are the same CSS that we are going to load on all other templates. All right, so let me just do that to this one. Let me do that. Static. And finally, let me finish with this. Static. Okay, all right. So just did that to about us. Let me reload. Okay, all right. Remember, if we are to work with static, then the first line should be load static. All right, so let's save that, come back here, reload. All right, okay, but let me just remove this line, because maybe we didn't see that error, so that should you get such kind of an error, you know where to resolve it. So we have this template syntax error at that invalid block tag in line 23. So we used something that we have not imported. Remember, we talked about modules in Python, but now in when working with the templates, instead of importing, we are going to we load whatever module that we want to work with. So we load static. So that's how to resolve such an error. So save that, reload. So we see that we have done the same thing to about us, and we probably have some images here. We'll be working on that. So there is something that I want us to note about the different templates that we have, or the different pages that we have. So let's come to this complete project and see how things are. So this homepage, let me move to about us, move to courses, move to teachers, and I think that will be enough for demonstration. And are we together? Are we together, guys? Oh, okay, perfect. All right, so I want to show you something about all these pages. So that's the home page. We have about us, we also have courses here, and finally we have teachers, and basically blogs, contacts, we also have the same. So I want us to identify the common features of all these pages. So if you look at this particular, we are in teachers, and we see that all the pages have this top bar containing the same information. All right, quickly check courses, quickly check about us, quickly check home. Besides the top bar, we also have the navigation bar, and if you can just check, it has the same, exactly the same content. All right. All right, so the other section that we need to appreciate, so if we check on this slider here, it's not on all pages, so it's only unique to the home page. Then every other content, that's for the home page, and all that. All right, so let's look at the footer. We have the footer here. Then let's check on the footer here. The same, exactly the same thing. Let's look at the footer here as well. Has the same thing. Teachers as well has the same thing. So the reason why I'm telling you this is so that at least we can see that there are some blocks of code that have been repeated across all these templates. And we wouldn't want to do that in Django, because for some reason if the business owner decides to change location, which is something that at least it's a practical thing, they change location, and they want to notify the clients that we have changed location, or even their phone number. All right, so in a scenario whereby we have 10 templates, we will be required to go to each and every template updating the location. Well, I don't think that is the best. We want to centralize all these common blocks of code, so that in case we were to change location, we only do the update on just one file. All right, in case we wanted to add a new page, and maybe it say careers, we want to add a careers page. In the current situation, we will need to go to about us, add that a tag with a new path, or with a new page, move to all these other templates. But as we mentioned about the drive principle, we can do better. We do not want to to paste. Maybe once I do that to index, I need to go to about us, teacher, single, and all those pages, adding the new line of code. So we need to centralize these blocks of code. All right, so let me give you a scenario. I gave an example, but let me do it practically. I want to add let me add something here. Let me just add jobs to make things easier for us here. Let me come here. Okay, go back, reload. All right, so we have jobs here. So how about if we go to about us? We don't have that page here. So what I'll need to do is to copy this line on all these templates. So we don't want to do that. So the next thing is I want us to centralize all those blocks in one file, so that whenever we do an update, we'll be doing the update on just one location, and it reflects across all the pages. All right, so the way to do that, I will introduce a new file here. and you can call it any name, but in my case I would prefer calling it base.html. So this base.html, we want to have this base HTML define the structure of a website. We are kind of I'm not sure if it's the best term to use, dissecting our website, our template, so that at least we can identify the common blocks of code, know which one they are and mention them, then give room for the content that changes across the pages. Because for instance, for the home page, we have this section here. All these should be, or rather, all that should be unique to the home page. About us, we have the content for about us. We also have the section for courses, and also the content for teachers. All right, so this is how to do it. So I'll just move to index, copy everything to home page. So as I mentioned, the purpose of this base.html is to help us identify the repetitive blocks of code and have them being managed here. So in any case, if you were to add a new path, I would want us to add it on base for it to reflect in all the other pages. All right. So there is another concept of the Ginger templating engine of Django, and that is what I want us to utilize. So what we want to do is that we will be putting all these sections in blocks, so we can identify the unique blocks. All right. So the first block, there is something we are calling block. So the first block that is unique to each and every page is this section called title. All right. So we are kind of identifying the sections that are unique on each and every page. So if you look at home page, we call it home, we have about us here, courses, teachers. So that's a unique thing on home page. All right. So we are going to put that into a block. Then this section from just below the navigation bar down up to where we have the footer starting, that's another block. All right. So we are going to have two unique blocks on each of these in each of these pages. All right. So it's kind of, we are trying to build a skeleton, and let's see how to do that with the base.html. So we are going to introduce something called block, and if you have your extension working, you should get this auto completion. So just select this one, and in VS Code, I'm not sure in other code editors, the cursor will be blinking on two locations. So in here, I can call this block title. All right. So this name is not so unique. It's not like we have here road static. So this one we can name it as we wish, but as we said, the naming convention, at least you should use a name that kind of makes sense. So as we said, this is the title. This is the title here that is giving us about us, courses, teachers, and all that. So that's why I decided to call it title. All right. So we have block title. It opens. Then we need to put it to. We need to have it cross the lines of code that are unique to each and every page. All right. So I'll have it there. Okay. So basically, the reason why I carried along these two lines of code. So this is the universal line. Okay. So let me just cut that. Have it there. So this is a common line to all the other pages. So we do not have to put it in a block. So what we have here, we have for the title, this title varies across all the pages, and for those who have done SEO, they can be sure that probably the keywords of the index will be maybe different from what we have in the courses and all that, and the description as well. So that's why we have those lines there. All right, the next section that we want to isolate. The next section that we want to isolate is the, let me come to the home page. So basically the home page is the one that is kind of guiding us. So we leave these two alone. Then we are going to enclose everything below the navigation bar and just before the footer. All right. So we need to identify that. We need to identify that very easily. The good thing with our code is well formatted, and we can easily be able to identify that. And I believe it should start here. So we also need to set these in a block, and the best name to, okay, let me just call it body, block body, because probably this is the body or the content of that body. So I can name it block content, block body, or just use the name that you feel good for that section. So in my case, I use block body. So I'll open it there. Then just scroll to where the body ends. So let me just look for footer. Should just be above the footer section. Have it there. All right. So I think that should be okay. So we have basically grouped or kind of identified the sections that will be varying from one page to another. Remember, let me just repeat again. So the content, the unique content for the home page starts where the just below the navigation bar and ends just above the footer. All right. So using this as our illustration, the home page, because the code that we have here is for the home page. So we have identified those unique blocks, and we have put them under blocks. All right. So how are we going to consume the base.html? All right. So basically the other lines of code that we haven't put under blocks, we are going to have them remain in base.html. But for all those areas that we have blocks, we can delete them, because we will be loading them from the index page or the about us page. So let me just do that. If you have a question, you'll ask why. So in this case, we don't have anything here in the definition of base.html. Then we also need to do that in the body section. So let me collapse that. I also need to collapse that section, that as well, collapse that as well, collapse that as well, this one as well, this one as well, as well. All right. So I'll be deleting everything in between these two blocks. All right. So why did I do that? So I want, because this content, the content in between these two blocks, will be provided by the template that we want to work with. For instance, HTML, the index.html will give us the content for the body tag, or the body block rather. All right. So let me move to the next section so that maybe questions can come in if at all you're not able to read it. So when we come, so we now need to move to the index.html, which happens to be our very first page that we have worked with. So in here, we need to identify all other lines of code that we have here. All right. So if we just move to the top, we have all these lines of code, probably up to that point. So we need to delete that. We don't need them in the index.html. We also need to remove all these other lines in the index.html. So basically, any line of code that is present in base.html, we need to remove it. All right. So the way to do that, let's come to the top. So one, we need to, okay, so I'll be removing that. Remember, we just want to ensure that all that remains are the lines that are unique to the home page. All right, so this is the title section or the title block. So let's leave it alone. Then everything else down here goes. Then we have the body, we have the top bar, let's collapse that. We also have the navigation bar, let's collapse that. Okay, all right, so let's collapse up to that point. So we know that the index.html, the content, the unique content for index.html starts here. All right, okay, let's now move to the bottom. So all the JavaScript files, we don't need them here. Then the footer, we don't need the footer here as well. All right, and for now we can be in agreement that any line of code here is unique to the index HTML page. All right, and to ensure that it's actually unique, you see the blocks that we introduced here. Let me show you the block title, the block start and end block title. We need to have them here. Okay, we didn't have to copy paste, but let me just do that. So the same name that you gave them there, we are still going to do that here. Then for the unique content of the body, let's have block. We called it body, that block, and we'll be doing this as well to the end. Copy paste that. So let me save that, and let me just go back to the page and see if any mess has happened. And there we go, we lost the styling. I'm not sure if we have the navigation bar and the rest. So basically we have lost the styling. At least for the images are still working because they are set correctly. Even the static files are set correctly, but for now they are not yet available in the index.html. So how do we make them available? The fact that we have load static here, we haven't loaded any CSS or JavaScript. So what we'll be doing is that we now extend. There is this base.html. We will be extending. There is this extend tag, extend, and we extend base.html. All right. So let's save that. Let's reload and get an error. All right. So we are told that the extend it must be the first tag in the template. All right. I hope you saw the error, guys. All right, so should you get this, don't panic, just read whatever instruction you are given. It's a must that it's the first tag, so cut that, move it here, paste, save, then back and reload. All right, and we see that we have our navigation bar back, our header, and if we check on the footer, so basically everything is working as it was working before. So if you can look at what we have done, we have removed all the navigation bar code in this template. So they are being managed here. So in this case, we will be doing the same thing to all the other templates. And what that means is that in case we needed to change anything, like anything that is common on all pages, say adding the new URL here. If we add it here, then it should reflect on all the pages that have extended base.html. All right, I'm not sure if you guys have gotten it right. Okay, all right, so this is what we said. Like the first thing that we did was to just look at our website, and we identified the blocks that are common on all pages. All right, so we have the blocks that are common on all the pages, and we identified one, the top bar. We also have these navigation bar here, and we also have the footer. So we said that these are the sections that we want to manage them in one file, not when we want to add, say, a new link. We go on, say, if our website has 20 templates, we move to 20 page is adding that one line. We don't want that. We want to manage all these in one file. So that necessitated having a base.html that will now control the repetitive lines of code. And again, it's also controlling the unique blocks, because for this for us to call this one the home page, we may expect to see what we are seeing down here. Forget about the top bar and the navigation. The content unique for the home page, we are in agreement. It starts from here down up to where the footer begins. So that's for the home page. We go to about us. About us has a unique header image here, and we have the title here, about. Then this content is unique to about us page. All right, same thing with with courses. Remember, I'm actually forgetting this title here. So we have this title here, which is unique for the courses page. We are able to tell that this is the about us page just by checking on the title. And again, the content down here after you are done with the navigation bar is also unique to the courses section. Okay, forget about the fact that we have the same content in the home page. They probably just decided to have it that way. So we don't need to focus on that, but we are just focusing on the blocks that are unique on that particular page. Teachers as well, we have this banner here and all the content above the footer. So we want to still control this on base.html. All right, so what we did with the base.html, we copied all the content of index.html, and this could have been content for any other page, because what we want to ensure remains in the base.html, one is the repetitive lines of code. So it's basically creating that foundation of our templates. So one, we need to ensure that the content of the repetitive blocks remains here. Then the unique content of each and every page, we introduced something we have called blocks. All right, and say each and every page, we kind of dissected the templates and said we have two unique sections, the title and the body section. All right, and it's basically because they are not appearing concurrently. For instance, the reason why we have introduced two blocks for now is because if we check on the header in the main template, or rather the title, what we call the title, in between here are other lines of code. So I felt it wise to have two blocks. It can be 3 or 4, but let's just have the two of them. So these two, or rather this block here, we named it a block title. So it's kind of a variable name that we have given to we have introduced in the base.html, and it will be called every time we want to declare the title. So in each and every template, we need to introduce this and have the unique content for that particular page in between the opening and the closing of this title block. All right, the other section that we have identified as unique is the body section. All right, somebody. All right, so it's the body section. So in the base.html, it doesn't have to have any content. It's just some kind of introducing some variables. So we will be introducing it using these tags. So in each and every template that you want to declare the content between, say, the header and the footer, this is what you'll be using. And in between this, you add whatever content you have for that particular page. All right, so that is for the base.html. So I moved to index.html, and what I did, one, was removing all repetitive lines of code. So all the code that I feel are the same across all templates, I deleted that, and I was just left with the content that is unique for the index.html page, and that is, one, the title, and the body section. So in the title, I just included the 3 lines of code, and for the body I covered everything that we are seeing here, everything that we are seeing in between the navigation bar here and just above the footer section. So that's what I have here. So if you can check closely, we don't have the footer here, neither do we have all the JavaScript files. We also don't have the static files here. So the only static, or rather the CSS files. So the only static file that we have here are the images that are unique to the body, or rather to the index.html. And once you do that, since we still require the navigation bar, we still require the footer, we introduce these lines of code here. These lines that we have here, we introduce by extending, extends base.html. So basically this base.html is this particular file here. All right, I'm not sure if that is syncing. Okay, all right, thank you. Any other question? We will be doing that on a number of pages, so if you missed it out, we're still going to see how to work with some other pages. So any other question in that, right? All right, so let's just proceed. So the next page, let us look at index, or rather not index, about us. All right, so about us is still we styled it. Remember, we were able to introduce the static files, the CSS and all that. So let us go and invade the about us page and remove all the repetitive lines of code there. So we said immediately you get into this file, remove everything you feel that is repetitive. This line as well, we'll be removing it. Then let's remove everything here. Top bar we remove. We also remove the navigation bar. Navigation bar ends here. Remove that. So remember, this header start, it's about, so it's unique for the about us page. All right, so then let's go to the footer. We don't need the footer here, so this one we are going to delete it, the footer and all the JavaScript files. All right, so let us assume we have set everything right. I'm sure things are not yet in order. Let me just save that, come back here, reload, and we can see the things are not in good shape. All right, so the next thing, remember, for this page to understand that one, we have the title section, or the title block, and also the body block. We need to introduce that as well. All right, so this will be block title. All right, then cut that, end it there. Then this will be block, we called it body. All right, then cut that, scroll to the bottom, paste it there. All right, let's see if it makes sense. All right, not yet. Why? Because we haven't introduced we haven't extended the template that has our styling and the definition of the blocks that we are using. All right, so I will be loading static here, or rather I will be extending, rather I'll extend base.html, and don't forget this base is this one. So this is not as we are doing here static. So this base should be this particular file here. In case you gave it a different name, just ensure to use that name here. Save, then back, reload. All right, interesting. So we are getting it right. So we probably have one image here that is not in good shape. We can quickly do that. Remember, we said just select the path to the image, introduce the tags, the static tag, do justice to that, then paste in the path there. Then let us just reload. All right, and you see about us has taken shape as well. Okay, I know we have some other images here, but at least for now, I believe you know how to work them out. All right, and we see, things are just working. All right, let me check on another page that we were able to render. Okay, all right, courses. Let's do courses as well. So in the courses, we'll be rendering a courses page, course. It's named course.html. All right, so here I'll be having courses. All right, so we have another page named courses, and we see as it is here. So let's do some justice to that page as well. All right, course. All right, this is course, and we said immediately you defined base.html. You should become, or rather, you should just immediately you move into a new file, just delete everything that you think is repetitive. So here, let's introduce a block title. Starts there and ends here. Then this line, we don't need it here. Then every other thing below here, navigation bar, we don't need that. So up to that point, then we can introduce block body, then scroll up to where the footer is, so I can delete everything there. All right, we do that, we come, save. All right, nothing, we need to come here, extends base.html, save, back, reload, and we see it has taken shape, but some images are not working currently. So if we just look at what we have here, it's the same thing that we have in the home page. So I'm just going to be doing copy pasting, but at least for now you are able to appreciate why the images are not working. If we inspect here, as we did, as we mentioned earlier, console, we see that a number of I think all these are images are not working. It's because we have not set them as they are supposed to be set. So just allow me to copy this section from the home page, from the index, because it has the same block. There is part of it that is the same category. I think it starts here. It should start here, category, all the way to courses. Courses ends here. All right. So let me do courses. Come here to category. Starts here. Down. Courses. All right. So let me see. All right. It ends here. Let me paste that. Save. Come back here. Reload. Static. Remember, expected something. So just come here. Should be the second line. Remember, the extend should be the first line. So this one we talk of road. Static. Save, back, reload, and we see that everything is working as expected. All right, any question about that? I hope we got it right, all right. So the next thing that we want to be able to do, we want to, for instance, okay, let me just go back to the home page. So I'm in the home page, and should I click home, I need to be taken to home. When I click to about, it should be taken to about. If I click on course, it should be taken to the courses page. And basically, this, we want to make these rings functional, and we are going to do that now. So the thing is, now that we have a base.html, we will be doing these the updates on just one file. Otherwise, if we didn't have a central file having the repetitive lines of code, whatever we are going to do here, we are supposed to do it on all the templates that we have. But the good thing, once we do it in this file, it will cut across all the templates, and the same thing will be seen on other templates. Alright, so let me move to home. We have index.html here. We don't need that. So for the home page, you can easily so all you need to do, just remove the whatever was in the href of the a tag referring to home. So for the home page, you can just use a /. Alright, how about us? The best approach. Maybe somebody will think that we talk of about, but then it will work, but it's not the best approach when you're working with Django. So Django advocates for, let me show you. Let's move to the URLs. So there is this name attribute here that we introduced. So we said that when by the time we introduced it, it was not really important. We would have still skipped it, and whatever we were trying to achieve, we would still have achieved that. But then it's now time to make use of the names that we have here. So for instance, we want to work with about us, and this given name here, let's copy that, and let's come back here. So for you to set about us to work as expected, so just remove what is in between the quotes and href. Then we have URL. So type in URL, then if you get these auto completions, select this particular one, and it will give you search. Then in between the quotes, paste in that name. That is the name you gave to the about us view. That is the view that is supposed to give us the about us page. So this name here, the one you pass in here. Alright, so let's save that, come back here, reload, then hover on about. Then if you just take down here, you are able to see the path that takes us to the about us page. Alright, so if we are in the about us page, we want to go back home, just hover on home, click it back, or rather click and it will take you back to home. So the fact that we just said we have a / here, you can also have the name of the name that we gave here on the home page, index, and it will still work the same way. Let's do that as well. We named it index, save. Let's come back here, reload. If we hover here, it will still give us the same thing. So it's only that it will just save you time. Instead of having all this, you just have a /, but both works. Alright, so we can do the same to all the other pages. So for courses, we have URL, and we named it, suppose, courses. Alright, then for teacher, I'm not sure if we have it. Alright, we have for teachers as well. We said URL teachers. Okay, we have teachers there. Alright, so let me mess up with one of the names here. Let me teachers, I add a S, save, come back here, reload, get this error. No reverse match at that, reverse for teachers not found, is not a valid view function or a pattern name. Alright, so should you get that, just come check if whatever name you have given here exists in the URLs, and of course if it doesn't, then just ensure to update the correct thing. So that's teachers, like that. We come back here, reload, and we get whatever we have here. Alright, at least for now we can be able to freely move across a number of pages. Teachers, this is the teachers page. We will be rendering the temp. Okay, we may not be able, or rather not, we may not be working on teachers because there is nothing much to work on teachers. Just I think some images there that we have for teachers and nothing much. So we can just leave that alone. Then we also be working with blog and also contact us page. All right, So let me just quickly work on contact us page very quickly. Let me do that. So introduce a URL pattern there. Then if I want to edit the same thing in multiple sections, I can select that way. Then we have contacts here. So the way to do such a selection, let me first of all have a comma here. So just press your cursor here, your pointer, then press on Alt, then select all other areas that you want to edit. Once you're done, just proceed with the editing. Alright, so contacts, we need a view. Define contacts, takes in a request, then should return render. You will do another request, and they should give us contact.html. Alright, so then in here you can just come to the base, then here contact. Alright, contacts, then let's come to contact. Alright, let's do justice to this page as well. Okay, so here we will be talking about extends base.html. The next thing we have is the block title. We have block title, there. Then let's delete everything else. Top bar, we don't need it here. Navigation bar as well. So let's talk of block body. Let me just have some spaces there. Then this should move to the bottom above the footer page. So the footer page, that just delete it and save. Alright, so let's go back, let's reload, and if we click on contact, should be taken to the contact us page as we are seeing here. Alright, so there is so much to cover. We are still just the beginning, because what else remains in the home page. Alright, so we have this section here. Sorry, so we have this section here, still the same section as under courses, so that will introduce us to working on models, and we'll also be working with blogs. We'll be creating a blog website or a blog application, so we'll also be working on that. So I believe at this stage we are confident and we are able to work with templates.